like if you really had your choice of what you would eat, you know, if you're really in there, you know. Like last time you said you wanted some, you know, some soul food. And if you would, you know, and you went into this whole thing of describing what would you eat if you could have something to eat?
I'd take me some cube steaks, flour them down, season salt them down, pepper them down, and then I'd douse them in some flour, and I'd put them in a pan of hot grease, you know, about 4 of them. And as they brown on one side, I'd flip them over. Then I'd cut up a whole onion, slice rings of onions, and I'd cut up some rings of bell pepper, you know, and then drop a lid on top of it, you know, and lower the fire down, you know, and let it go slow. And meanwhile, the ham ends or bacon ends is already boiling. Have already been boiling at least, you know, 30 minutes, you know, on a high fire, and I drop either some fresh shell black-eyed peas in there, but a frozen black-eyed peas, which I prefer, you know. Actually, I didn't put them on before I dropped the meat in, you know, because the way I'm going to do this. But I got these black-eyed peas going, you know, with a little bell pepper in there, you know, and I would season it down righteous, you know, black pepper and all that stuff. I like highly seasoned stuff, you know. Then I got this pan of rice-a-roni cooking. See, I've got this 3 or 4 slabs of butter in the bottom of this pan. It's just melting, and I throw this rice around and let it brown over, you know what I mean? And boom, throw all this stuff in, and I take 3 tomatoes, 1 tomato, you know. After the rice steams up inside, you know, I put the water in, put the little herbs and all that stuff, this beef rice-a-roni, you see. And after it comes up, I take a tomato on top of the rice, I stir it up, and then let it steam a little bit, and I take a tomato and slice it all up, and put the slices all over the top of the rice, and put the lid back on it, you know, and let it sit there, you know, real low fire, let that juices from the tomato simmer down into the rice. You dig? And I have some cornbread, you know, and I like a tall, cold glass of milk, you see? And when that cornbread is hot, and the rice-a-roni is hot, you know, and everything is cooking, what I do, I take the meat out of the pan, and I put 4 or 5 tablespoons of flour in the bottom of the pan. It'd be equated with the amount of grease, you know, and the juices and seeped out of the meat, you know, into that, you know, it's kind of cooked too, you know. And you let the flour brown, you see. And then that's when I go to my thing, you know. I get me half a bottle of steak sauce, you know, and dump it in there, some hot sauce and dump it in there, and some peppers out of a jar and dump it in there, a little more seasoning sauce, salt it down and taste it, you know. You have to taste your food, you see. It tastes good, boom. And take all the meat and put it back in the pan, you see. Cut up a few more onions, a few more bell peppers, you see. Tomato maybe, you know. Boom, and put the lid back on there and just let it simmer there, you know what I mean, for about 20 minutes. Everything is nice and hot. And that's what I have, some cornbread with butter in between it, some black-eyed peas, the ham ends, the bacon ends, or whatever you got in there. Or a ham hock, you have to boil it a little early, you know what I mean, get it done, you know. And I agree, man. I like to get down to it. That's where it's at to me. Country brown cube steaks smothered down in country brown gravy. Black-eyed peas and rice-a-roni with all the gravy I want to put on it, you know, with all the way I got it seasoned just the way I like it. And a tall glass of milk. And
I can see why you threw your simple way after all that.
I mean, I like to eat. You know, one time, a long time ago, somebody asked me what I'd rather have. I was down in Los Angeles at the time when I was trying to make it 10 years ago. And he asked me what I'd rather have. Would I rather have a Cadillac or would I rather have a refrigerator full of food, you dig? And you know, you think about this, you know, I like to eat. You know, when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of these things, you know. We get a piece of steak. It was a little bitty piece of steak, and it was far and far in between, you know. And Mama would hustle up a skinny chicken for Sunday, you see. And Daddy, he's around working here and there, but we didn't get much meat. We eat a lot of greens and black-eyed peas and cornbread.
You was that in Oakland?
Yeah, raised up right out there in Berkeley, Cordonesis Village, the ghetto over there.
Were you in Cordonesis Village?
I lived.
I remember that. Remember the Busy Bee Cafe?
Yeah, I remember. You talking about on 9th and what's it?
Yeah.
Harrison.
Yeah.
I lived on 6th and Harrison.
And they finally tore that place down.
Yeah, I know they tore the whole place down. That's where we was raised up at, man. And see, I remember my mom used to bring ends and stuff. And I think about people who are hungry, you know. And I think about people. That's why breakfast for children is where it's at, man. You know, because in the morning, like you eating grits. I mean, I like to eat breakfast. You know what I mean? I want 3 or 4 slices of some thick bacon. You know what I mean? I don't like that a little dainty thin bacon, but I eat it. You know, it's sweet and it's good. You know, but some grits and some butter. You know what I mean? Some hot biscuits or some jelly or some syrup, one way or the other. You know what I mean? And that's where it's at. And I think every little kid in the country should have it. You know, sausage if he wanted, ham slabs and grits and butter and jelly and biscuits. You know, we make toast with placing the butter. This is where I was raised up. You put the butter on the bread, you know. I don't dig toaster bread. Toaster, you know, they take the toast and they put it in a little toaster, you know. Well, that ain't the way we do it. I wasn't where I was raised, because we didn't have no toasters. So we had to put it under the flame in the oven, you know. And we still do it, but we like it that way. We're so used to
It tastes different, too.
tasting spats of butter on top of the bread and sliding it in the oven, you dig? And then it toasts right, nice and hot, and it toasts nice, and the butter melts down, and you come in, it's nice and hot, you know what I mean? And I hated margarine, you know. The reason I hated margarine, even when I was a kid, I knew it was a fake, you see? And it wasn't real butter, you see what I mean? And I kind of adopted this from my daddy. He didn't want nobody's margarine. He wanted real butter. And my mother likes real butter, you know. They was come up on the farm when they was young, too, you know. And butter, man, on that rice, and scrambled eggs or sunny side up eggs. Just take me some pile of rice with all the butter in it I want, and 2 or 3 sunny side up eggs on top of that, and some smoked sausages or some bacon.
What about in the jail? You ever talk about this food?
Oh man, I talked about this one night, man. The cats told me to be quiet. I got to talking one time and describing the meal. You know, I was hollering down the block to some other brothers that I talked to, Los Siete, and her brothers, and they get to describing stuff, you know. And they was talking about how they make chili. I make chili too, you know, roast beef, all that stuff. Stew, love to cook stew. Like when we in the Panther party, you know, Panther houses. Drop over to the Panther house or at my house up at the top of the Panther headquarters office, you know. Got a kitchen back there. That's where it's at. I mean, you know, you grease, you know. And so I tell the brothers there's some chili, you know, and everybody gets together and we eat food is life, man, you know. And I relate to things, you know, like that.